What you wanna know? What's going on, people? Mike C-Town here with another edition of What Do You Want to Know? Like the last time I was on a hiatus, I'm going to start this off with the most obvious question, which is, where have you been? Well, about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was robbed. Some dudes kicked my door in. They didn't steal anything important. They just took my TV, my laptop, and from what I can tell, a watch that didn't even work. Thought you was, boy. They didn't touch my records, my CDs, or my cat, so it's all good, you know? I just wish I had a camera installed so I could have seen their faces when they got inside, thinking I had like all these cool gadgets and shit, and all they find are like books and records. Like, books, records, what the hell, Sean? If you don't have it already, please get renter's insurance. Like an idiot, I didn't have it, so I had to come out of pocket for all the shit that I lost. You know, the TV wasn't a big deal, but the laptop really fucking sucked, man. I lost footage I was gonna use for the Sage Francis and B. Dolan concert review. I lost a bunch of old footage from seeing I Hate God, Carcass. I lost some poetry, some pictures. Luckily, I didn't have any dictures on there. You know, the hard drive wasn't big enough. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the questions. First question. Shelby Vills Crams said, "Hey Mike, I know you grew up in the straight edge DIY hardcore punk scene, and we've talked about bands like Ass Factor 4, Inhumanity, Insult to Injury, Index for Potential Suicide before. I want to hear you talk about some of your experience seeing those bands, your favorite records from that scene, what those bands mean to you, stuff like that. Could you talk about that in one of your videos?" I found hardcore when I was in high school. Me and my friend Brad kind of got into it together. You know, I was a major nerd, so I was constantly looking for something to fit in. You know, I had skateboarding, but, you know, I needed something more. And, you know, hardcore came right on time, man. You know, I found that a lot of these dudes had very similar opinions as me in terms of, you know, not wanting to drink, you know, equality for women, minorities, gays, etc. You know, through hardcore, I discovered veganism. You know, it was here that I was presented with the whole idea of what meat actually is, which I feel like at some point everyone in their life, you know, comes to that crossroad of where they find out, okay, meat is actually an animal, and either you care or you don't. I cared, so I became vegetarian for a month or two, went vegan after that, and have been vegan ever since. It'll be 20 years in December, believe it or not. I also became straight edge around this time, which was great because it kept me out of trouble throughout high school and much of college. So I'm, of course, no longer straight edge, but I still totally respect the people that are, and, you know, still seeing people with X's on their hands makes me happy. It's in punk and hardcore that I met a lot of the people that, you know, I became the closest to. Some I still love like brothers to this day. Some I wish I'd never fucking met. But for the most part, hardcore shaped me. And no matter where I go in life, I feel like I'll always have like this certain place for it in my heart, you know? Man, as far as some of the bands that I saw back in the days, I saw some of the best of the mid-90s hardcore bands in their prime. You know, I saw, you know, Integrity, Converge, Bloodlet, Earth Crisis, Chokehold, Abnegation, Asssuck, Reversal of Man, Inhumanity, Damnation, Frail, Snapcase, Hatebreed, Strife, Portraits of Past. You know, this is all back in the day when bands really put on shows. You know, they broke shit, bled on stage, went total ape shit. You know, I still remember seeing Coalesce in, I think it was Detroit, where those guys played this crazy set, and by the end, they're throwing their drums into the crowd. And, you know, that kind of showmanship, it really isn't around anymore, man. But it was fun. You know, we used to drive all over the place for shows and for fests. You know, like, that's pretty much how we spent our entire summer. Like, I remember summer of like 95, I was at the Legendary Fest in Ohio where One Life Crew played and caused a mini riot due to them attacking that dude, Rich Elrath, the guy who flipped them off while they were playing their stupid xenophobic song. Get the fuck out of my country! What's interesting is one of the guys who assisted in jumping that kid, he actually tore my shirt the day before. It was a shirt with all these cute little fur animals on it, and it said, "Wear your own skin" on it. And this big, fat, fucking skinhead guy with, like, major back hair, looked like he was wearing a fucking sweater vest, but it was just back hair. I guess he didn't like my shirt. He didn't think it was cute or clever or anything, but he grabbed me by the back of my collar and just shook it until he tore my shirt. This guy's like 400 pounds. It would have been like that whole David and Goliath shit. I don't believe in that, man. I was just like, hey, man, I'll buy another shirt, man. Live to see another day. You know what I'm saying? As far as some of my favorite releases by bands that came from this scene, I'll give a quick top 10. How's that? 10 would have to be Overcast, Expectational Delusion. Awesome Slayer influenced hardcore with Tom Araya clean vocals and then these awesome deep rough growls. 9 would have to be Stark Weather's Into the Wire. Amazing metal hardcore with some of the most incredible self-deprecating lyrics ever written. Pure poetry. Beautiful clean vocals. Super mean rough vocals. Just awesome. 8, Chokehold, Content with Dying. Pro-feminist, vegan, straight edge, atheist, political hardcore. I always love seeing these guys play, but this CD is awesome start to finish. 7, Quicksand, Slip. Kind of the beginning of the whole post-hardcore thing. Great emotive, poetic lyrics, awesome chunky guitars, just great songwriting, man. Awesome album. 6, Gorilla Biscuits, Start Today. I can listen to this album every single day, man. A great old school hardcore, so it's more on the punk side, but it's fast, meaningful, melodic. Man, 5 has to be Earth Crisis Firestorm. This is an iconic release in the hardcore scene. Firestorm is the straight edge anthem, and Eden's Demise was actually the song that made me go vegan. To end the enslavement and slaughter, the antidote is veganism. Number 4, Into Another, Ignaris. One of my all-time favorite bands. Some of the most amazing poetic lyrics. Richie Birkenhead had one of the most unique voices in the world, and all the musicians in this band were just virtuosos, man. It's a great album. Number 3 has to be Unbroken, Life, Love, Regret. One of the best bands to ever come out of the hardcore scene. Heavy as hell, great metallic guitars, fantastic lyrics. One of the most solid, meaningful hardcore albums to ever emerge from the hardcore scene. Great album. Number 2 for me would be Catharsis Samsara. This record is just super powerful. Great guitar work, great drumming, some of the most well-written lyrics of any band to ever come from this scene. And listen to the song Pariah, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Just incredible. The have-nots will get ours tonight. Number 1. This is my favorite hardcore album. Integrity, Those Who Fear Tomorrow. These were the inventors, basically, of metal hardcore to me. It's a perfect combination of, like, evil, dark hardcore and metal. Dwid was one of the best singers to ever emerge from the hardcore scene. Every song on here is gold. Dawn of a New Apocalypse is just ghetto stricken, filth ridden, mother of mine. I give my left arm just to witness your demise. I feel like I'll be a hardcore kid at heart forever, man. Next question. Harry Jacoby said, "Hey dude, I have a question that could be a sensitive subject. Recently on Tumblr, there's been a lot of rants speaking out against white people consuming / creating hip-hop, often being claimed as cultural appropriation. I'm a white guy that's been listening to hip-hop for quite a few years. Not sure what I think, but many arguments make a lot of sense. What are your thoughts on this? Should they be creating, consuming hip-hop? If this would be better as a DHH discussion, I'll throw it over there." I got my own question, Harry Jacoby. What the fuck is a Jacoby, man, and why is it Harry? Huh? I don't know, dude. This is kind of stupid, man. I think a lot of this shit comes from Lord Jamar's comments. But here's the thing. Is hip-hop a black art form and culture? Yes. It was created by black people, primarily for other black people. Are whites guests in the house of hip-hop? Yes. Does this mean they shouldn't be creating hip-hop? No. That's just stupid and ignorant. I think what's bothering people is the fact that certain white artists are getting a lot more attention than black artists. You know, you have people like Macklemore and Iggy Azalea who are just lighting up the charts, and we as black people feel a little bit slighted. We feel a little bit left out, you know, and understandably so. But then you have to consider why this is. You know, people hate me for saying this, but I think the answer is relatively simple. You know, white people support their artists. We don't. The last statistic I saw showed whites as purchasing more albums than any other race. I didn't do the study myself, so I can't put that much stock into it, but just by the black folks that I know, it seems like it's true. This also comes into play with concert attendance. You know, when I go to hip-hop shows, it's at least 60 to 70% white, if not more. Of course, there are all kinds of socioeconomic reasons as to why this exists. This video would be 2 hours long if I got into all aspects of that discussion. But to make it short, look, any white rapper would be a complete idiot to not at least acknowledge their privilege, even when it comes to being a part of black culture. I think it mostly boils down to most of the money-spending fans are white. Most of the label execs are white. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who created the culture. It's all about who can benefit from it, right? White people are in a position to benefit more than we are because they have a lot of the connections that we just don't have. So of course they're going to want to market one of their own because they're the ones whose money is keeping it afloat. You know, plus with a friendly, familiar face, they don't have to worry about scaring off investors. You know, Macklemore is a perfect example. Nothing about him is edgy or scary, and the majority of his fans are young white teens. It's easy money. You know what I'm saying? Versus someone like Kendrick, who's still accessible to a lot of the population, black and white, but he has ideas that could prove to be dangerous. Soccer moms aren't going to be stoked about their kids listening to someone saying, you know, I pray my dick gets big as the Eiffel Tower so I can fuck the world for 72 hours. But they'll be super into a rapper rapping about the thrift shop and preaching against alcohol consumption. Plus, look at that face. Macklemore is just so precious and adorbs. Who wouldn't love him, right? But what these white artists could do to help the situation is maybe try to bring some light to the black artists that have made this culture what it is. Take them on tour. You know, name drop them in songs. Put their names in the credits as cosigns. Something. Is it cultural appropriation? I don't know, because typically appropriation, it kind of implies adopting another group's, like, ideas without acknowledging its origins. And I don't really know that that's what's happening here. You know, at least not with everyone. But like being in the South, a lot of what I experienced from white rap dudes at like, especially like the bigger concerts, are them trying to emulate what they think black culture is. You know, not really understanding what it actually is. But then you have a lot of white rap dudes who really understand this black culture. A lot of them understand it more than we do. But as far as appropriation goes, what do you expect? Hip-hop is the most influential culture in the world right now. As a culture gets bigger and more popular, more people want to be involved. They want to fit in with the hot new thing, so they'll insert themselves by any means necessary. That's basic common sense when it comes to natural human behavior. I read that Scarface said that the face of hip-hop will be white within 25 years. You know, do I doubt that? Not at all. But who's to blame for this? You know, I don't think the white rappers are, nor do I think the white fans are. I think a lot of it's our fault. You know, we don't support our own. You know, it's been like this for years. A lot of times, as corny as it sounds, you have to put your money where your mouth is. Unfortunately, I understand that this isn't altogether possible for everyone, but it is possible for a lot of us. You know, a large number of us would rather spend $300 on a pair of Jordans or a monthly car payment for a car that we can't afford and don't need anyway, then use this money to support the artists that are keeping a culture that we claim to love alive, right? We steal the music, but then we don't even go to the concerts to support these artists, which is where they make the majority of their money anyway. Oh, but check this out. Strippers ain't out here crying about being broke due to low attendance at strip clubs, you can bypass the middleman and just go download a porn for free. The same way you download an album for free. But we're still gonna go to these clubs full of naked women and throw all of our paycheck at them. No disrespect to strippers. I'm just saying it seems like our priorities are really out of fucking whack. We're basically handing hip-hop culture over to white people. Without them, hip-hop would have died years ago when we were going through that slump in the late 90s, early 2000s, or whenever it was. They saved it by putting their money behind it because they saw that it was something that could easily be marketed to everyone. Suburban blacks, urban blacks, suburban whites, inner city whites. Instead, we took our money and invested it in disposable trends. We really have no one to blame but ourselves, man. When we step out of this fucked up mindset and start saying, hey, we need to start protecting what we created. We need to start preserving what we created. Then things will change. But what do I know? I'm some stupid, skinny jean wearing, Sam Adams cherry wheat beer drinking gayfer that doesn't know shit about rap music. So don't fucking listen to me. Listen to Jimmy Iovine and fucking Peter Rosenberg. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for the questions. Please send more questions in. You know how we do in these motherfucking streets. Thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you. And I will see you guys next time. Alright? Peace, bitches.